With Nintendo opening up the possibility of including more DLC characters in Super Smash Bros. 3DS and Wii U beyond the legendary Mewtwo and the boy wonder Lucas, there's a whole catalog of well-known or even lesser-known characters that have a chance to shine. Daddy Sakurai himself even wants fans to get in on the fun with the launch of the Smash Bros. Ballot, where you can vote for any character you would like to see represented in the game as a fighter. Sakurai will take those wishes into consideration and potentially whip up a tasty moveset and throw them into the ring. Let's just hope Shrek and Goku aren't on the top of the charts, otherwise I'm gonna puke my guts out. It's unclear how many DLC characters will be seen beyond Mewtwo and Lucas. It could be 5 or it could be 1, we really don't know at this point. But what we can do is fantasize on which Nintendo characters we would like to really see join the fray. So I decided to round up 5 characters that I think would add an interesting mix to the Smash Bros. Roster. So without further ado, here are 5 characters that I'd like to see added as DLC in Super Smash Bros. 3DS and Wii U. Disclaimer, opinions are my own, not yours. Good night. I had an epiphany when I thought of the fearsome Monster Hunter from the oh-so-popular Monster Hunter series of games. Even though I already feel like there's enough sword-wielding characters in the roster, I'm looking at you, Fire Emblem. He or she seems like a perfect fit, considering they have a wealth of different weapons that could be incorporated into a deadly moveset. He'd most certainly be a heavyweight, since a Monster Hunter isn't exactly known for his lightning-fast speed. But power? Yeah, he's got that. I mean, he can take down monsters 10 times his size, so he should be up there right next to the plumpy penguin himself, King Dedede. And honestly, there aren't many heavyweights on the roster at this point. I'm not going to sit here and list every little intricate detail of each and every move, but each of his attacks could be different weapons from the series. One of his attacks could pull out a long sword, another could pull out a lance, and one of his B attacks could be a ranged weapon like the bowgun, and so on and so forth. And as for his final smash, maybe a gigantic Rathalos could be summoned to rain down fire on the battlefield. Make it happen, Samurai. Monster Hunter for Smash, baby! Shovel Knight seems like a character that most people want added to Smash Bros, and that's probably because of how popular Yacht Club's platformer actually is. Liking the game though is not the reason I want Shovel Knight included in the roster, but it just seems like he would transition very well over to the game with a moveset that doesn't require much thinking. He's obviously got his shovel, which could be used to stab opponents and pogo stick with like Scrooge McDuck, but ultimately a lot of his moveset could be centered around the various different relics, with there being 11 altogether. The Flare Wand could be a projectile attack, the Propeller Dagger could fling Shovel Knight across the stage quickly to deal some yummy damage, the Phase Locket could be a counter attack, and that's not even the half of it. As for the Fishing Rod, that would fit perfectly as a taunt when you've wiped the floor clean of all scrubbiness. And then there's Shovel Knight's final smash, where he could pull a Robin and summon Shield Knight to his side to go ham on one specific fighter, or more than one if they get bunched together somehow. Or you could have Shovel Knight ride across the stage on Mr. Applefish. Yeah, you know you want to see that. The Inklings from Splatoon are an awesome new cast of characters for the big end, and they can bring their 90s fashion style over to the world of Smash Bros. Sure, Splatoon isn't even out yet at the time of making this video, but by the time Sakurai and his team finish making the Inklings as a playable character, it'd be many months after the game's already hit the market. The Inklings could bring an interesting twist to the Smash Bros gameplay, as their moves could involve the use of paint. Maybe you'd be able to plaster the ground with a limited amount of paint, and that causes your opponents to slow down when they walk into it. Or you could turn into a squid and pop up behind someone for a surprise attack. That doesn't even take into account the different weapons that the Inklings could use, since they have a variety of functions. There's the Paint Grenade, which would work like any old grenade, a Paint Roller, which could be used as a melee weapon, and a Machine Gun, which would obviously work as a ranged attack. In terms of a recovery move, maybe the Paint Canister on the Inklings' back can double as a jetpack that can jettison the squid humans high up into the air. Splatoon is looking like a really awesome new IP from Nintendo, and them squiddies should get some lovey-dovey from Smashy Smash. Captain Toad is an odd choice, since in his own game, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, he can't jump if his life depended on it. Bye bye! But that'd probably have to be thrown out the window, since the gameplay of Smash Bros is built around getting some juicy airtime. Captain Toad also has a pretty limited moveset in his own game, but that doesn't mean there isn't anything to salvage. Off the top of my head, he can obviously pluck turnips from the ground and chuck them at enemies. And then as a rare item drop, he can plug gems instead of turnips, which would deal more damage than usual. Other than that, there's the pickaxe power up, so he can swing that baby around and deliver some gnarly haymakers. And there's even the minecart that he hops into at certain points in Treasure Tracker. Firecracker. This could be used in a similar way to Bowser Jr.'s Side B, where he dashes across the stage in his Koopa cart and mows down his opponents. And finally, Captain Toad's dead weight of a backpack could also be used to smack around opponents with. As for his final smash, maybe he can summon the big baddie Wingo and have him push enemies off the stage with huge gusts of wind, or even just simply grab them and fly them off stage. Obviously, for a costume swap, he'd have to be able to turn into Toadette. Bowser Jr. can turn into any of the Koopalings, so Captain Toad can at least have a Toadette skin. Come on, mashed potato, genderless Toad needs some love. Wonder Red. You know, that superhero dude from that awesome Wii U game called The Wonderful 101 that sold abysmally? Yeah, that guy. The Wonderful 101 is all about pummeling hordes of robots in a beat-em-up style fashion, and all that would transition perfectly to Smash Bros. He'd be a great addition to the lineup of fighters, as he could potentially use the variety of different Unite morph attacks present in that game. I know Wonder Red is only capable of using the Unite hand form, but maybe Sakurai could stretch that to allow him to wield the Unite sword, gun, whip, hammer, and so on. The Unite whip could even double as a recovery and grapple move that can latch onto a ledge or an enemy fighter, similar to Link and Samus. For a final smash, maybe Wonder Red could sport the unlimited form of his Sentinel suit, just like the team does when they face off against a menacing boss, and that way he could become uber powerful and knock fighters off the stage with a single punch to the kisser. We got a little spoiled with the costume swaps for Bowser Jr., but this amount of detail could also be applied to Wonder Red, as Sakurai and his team could stitch together the other members of the Wonderful 100, and that includes Wonder Yellow, Wonder White, Wonder Black, and the list goes on. The Wonderful 101 is just too hard to not pass up for Smash Bros. The plethora of attacks present in the game is just too perfect. So those are just 5 characters I wouldn't mind seeing added as DLC fighters in Super Smash Bros. 3DS and Wii U. There's numerous amounts of other characters out there like King K. Rool, Lanky Kong, and everyone's favorite, Metapod. So go ahead and sound off in the comment section below and tell me who you would like to see join the fight, but just know my opinion trumps all. I'm kidding. And that will bring us to the end of this video. If you like what you saw, please give this video a thumbs up and add your favorites and all that good stuff, and you can stay tuned for more videos in the future. But I will talk to you all in the next video, guys. Bye!